Hello, this is the fifth of our smaller talks. We call them Bookish Talks. It's an offshoot of our iBookBinding podcast. This is me, Pavel, and this is my co-host, Stepan.
Hi.
Today it will be mostly him talking and me asking questions from time to time. Today we'd like to talk about a few of Stepan's recent finds. It will be a sort of continuation of a recent talk of ours when we discussed book markets and what you can find there. And one of the questions raised there is, where do all these books come from? And how much they cost and why do they cost this much? So, Stepan, could you show us the goods?
Yeah, I guess I will switch to the second camera right away. Here we are. I have two objects here. One is a book, and the second one is not a book. But both of them share a story a bit. The book I bought from a bookseller, and this second object I bought in an antique store. And then I wanted to try to find out some more information about the history of these objects and maybe try to evaluate them. And surprise, surprise, I found that both of them were earlier in the previous years sold on internet auctions, and I guess these sales weren't successful. And I'm pretty sure, I'm like 99% sure that both of these objects are the ones that were represented on these internet auctions, and I will tell you why in a moment. But first, I will share the links for these auctions. So here it is. Sorry, this lot is closed. Not surprising because it was sold. Is it stated anywhere here? I'm not sure. Some time ago.
Experts estimate 150 to 200 pounds.
Yeah, euros.
Euros.
Yeah. So that's the same book you saw a bit earlier.
Perhaps you could tell us what it is.
Winning bid was $60. I don't know why is there euros and dollars over here, but yeah, that's a book about medieval illumination and illuminated initials and all that stuff. We just shared it, the scanned version of this book with our patrons on Patreon. And you can find some of the images from the book on our Instagram account. So it's quite a beautiful book, and it was published in 1862. And really, it's not truly a book. It's a sort of collection of magazine issues of the Illuminators Magazine from the 19th century.
I also wanted to note that these are not facsimile reproductions, because I know many of these images and these are not copies. Someone drew them by hand, so they are not very precise. But then this is 1860s. Photography has only just been invented. It's still about 20 years until first mass books with photo reproductions appear, and facsimile books only appear in 1890s.
Yeah. So yeah, the description states it's chromolithographs, so they may not be drawn, but still somebody had to do the plates and to cut them or to etch them. Here is the front view of the book, and it has a pretty distinguished discoloration on the front cover, and that's why I think my book is the same one, because my book also has this.
What do you think caused this particular type of discoloration?
So here you can probably see too much light, I guess. There is a pretty similar discoloration. It's pink and purple in the middle, and then you can see a frame of sorts. So this may have happened when this book was exposed to sunlight for some time, and something was laying on this part of the front cover.
So it was probably a stack of books, and there was a smaller book on top of it for years and years and years.
Yeah. that was the first object, and if you want to look inside, you can go to our Instagram, or you can become one of our patrons, and then you will be able to download the full book. But what else I wanted to add is that you can see the difference between the estimate and the final price of the sale. And I bought this book even cheaper than these $60, much cheaper than these $60, because it was the one from Book Market in The Hague, and I usually buy books not more expensive than 10 euros. That sort of answers one of the questions Pavel spoke about. How are the prices calculated or chosen? And there is another aspect of it. Should you benchmark the prices against the prices you can see on internet selling platforms like eBay, or specialized book selling platforms like biblio.com or AbeBooks? Well, the easy answer is no, you shouldn't, because oftentimes books are in different condition. Sellers can overprice books. There may be many different reasons why the book's price is not valid if you see it online. However, if you see dozens or hundreds of books selling within some reasonable range of prices, that may be a hint for you that this is somewhat realistic price for this book.
Speaking of which, was there a range for this book? Was it the only one? I assuming it wasn't that widespread if you found it right away.
Well, I found this book only on one platform, and that was the one I shared with you. It was Katawiki. And I didn't find it on any of the major book selling platforms like AbeBooks or biblio.com. So I'm not sure. The estimates on Katawiki they are made by people who know something about the industry. So this may be a valid estimate, but then the book sold only for a fraction of the estimated price, which also happens on even on the most important auctions like Christie's or Sotheby's or something like that. So that's just what happens. That's the nature of auction. Sometimes you can end up with selling the object much lower than than the estimate was stated.
Actually, I find it shocking, because there couldn't have been many of these books produced.
Yeah.
And they must have been expensive at the time.
Yeah.
And the condition is very, very decent. Well, save for the cover.
Yeah.
Well, my congratulations. Great find.
Yeah. So I guess we will move to the second object. I think I will start with unpacking it, and then I will share with you the internet auction page of this lot.
It looks like a barrique and seems to weigh like one.
Yeah. It's pretty heavy. Did you hear the noise?
Yep.
So here it is packed, and packed even more. So it's a collection of I think it's in English it's called magnesium plates. So that's some plates used for printing. On this occasion, used for printing comic strips. And it's a sort of sci-fi comic strip from one of the Dutch newspapers from I will have to check it, but something like 1950s or 1960s. There is some information about that, some additional information about it on the website. I will show you a bit later. You can see some futuristic space objects and
pop art.
Yeah, there were some nice looking characters somewhere here. Yeah, nice planets on strings.
show us the housewife.
Yeah.
Oh, this is very much of its time.
Yeah. And yeah, some dinosaur, alien dinosaur or something.
And a bookcase-sized computer too.
Yeah, 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 exactly. Yeah,
Some strong graphics there.
yeah. So that's almost full print run of this comic. Only a couple of plates are missing.
Surely with this one you can be 100% sure that it's the actual lot.
Yeah, yeah. I checked the colors of the plates, so you can see the surface is to protect part of the surface from etching with acid. It was covered by special paint, and in different cases you can see that the color of the paint is different, either yellow or red. So you can check the plates, and you can see that it fits pretty well with my plates. And I guess that there was only one set of these plates, and the numbers of plates they also are the same. So yeah, you can see it here that it's from 1958. So it was a comic strips made by one Loek van Delden, a Dutch artist who was making comics, but not only comics, and it was published in a Dutch newspaper. And once again, you can see the estimate of 100 to 200 euro, and it wasn't sold. And once again, I bought it much cheaper because I bought it in a not a thrift store but antique store, and mainly this store sells stuff from earlier centuries. So seeing something like that was pretty typical for this store. It's strange, and it's very interesting to find some more stories about objects you buy. And as we already discussed with Pavel, it's for me it's always interesting to get some more story of the book of bookish objects besides the story that's written inside of it. Who was their previous owner? What was the story? Why did they decided to buy this book or to read this book? Maybe leave some notes on the margins. Yeah, that's sort of brings some additional reality to some additional story to the book, to and not only to book but to these plates as well.
What are your plans for these plates? Surely you have to try and print them out.
Well, yeah, that's one of the plans, and I wanted to print them and to maybe share on Instagram some of the prints. But otherwise, I can do nothing about it because it's still protected by copyright, because the artist died in 2004. So we will have to wait 60 more years before it goes public domain, if nothing changes in copyright laws. The book I shared with you, it's public domain for quite a long time already, because it's a magazine, and mostly in most countries magazines are considered to be a group work, and copyrights end 70 or 90 years after the magazine was published. But as the comic strips are not group work, copyright ends a certain time after the person has died. Yeah, it was only 16 years ago. That's, by the way, another topic I wanted to discuss, but probably was by inviting some guests, because understanding of how copyright works helps book designers and book people quite a lot sometimes. And as it appears, not many people know what they can do with art and what they can't do with art.
By the way, I have no idea if book binding can be copyrighted. I've never heard of cases like that.
Well, I'm sure if you design the cover for your artist binding, that cover, that art is copyrighted, because you can't take away copyright from a person, and it's a creative object, and thus it's protected by copyright.
I really like this find of yours. It's a museum object.
Yeah.
It's a museum of the future. Even now, I think quite a few museums would be interested. I
Yeah.
imagine some design museum or a printing museum. It's they're interesting as objects. They're interesting as designs. They're yet again very much of their time. You can see this is a very, very early post-war development. It's still very reserved, but you can see pop art just about to be born.
Yeah. It was a fun and nice find, and I'm really glad I bought it, because once again it brought additional dimension to the story, and it was fun to research this object and to look for not maybe previous owners, but for how it came to be.
I googled the artist, and his output is rather diverse. He's done advertising, he's done books, he's done newspapers.
An
interesting guy.
And that's not the only comic series of comic strips that he made for newspapers. So for the same newspaper as well. And I guess that's it for today. That's all I wanted to share with you. And as usual, many thanks for all of our viewers, and special thanks to patrons on Patreon. Pledges of our patrons cover editing for our podcast videos, so it's really important to us, and we much appreciate your input and your help in making these podcasts. If someone would like to join the crowd of our patrons, pledges start with only $1 or €1 per month. And with pledges starting with €3, you will get some additional stuff like digitized books, like the book we discussed earlier today. It's already digitized and available to our patrons. Thanks again. See you next time.
See ya.
Bye.